Hello, hello. Good afternoon, dear colleagues.
Thank you. Thank you. Mic is off.
Hello, guys.
Hello, hello, Dr. Fedon.
Can you hear me, Andre?
All good, all good. We can hear you loud and clear.
All good, eh? Perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Share my screen.
We see the screen, it's okay.
Perfect. I'm in the classroom. I will be using the touch screen because there might be some people who might prefer to attend physically here. Even if I talk from here, you can hear me clearly, right?
Yes, yes, it's okay.
Good. I think I changed the setting so I can hear you from the screen. Can you talk a little bit, Dr. Vladimir?
Hello, hello. Good afternoon, Dr. Fedon, other colleagues. Welcome to our training. All good?
That's better.
Perfect.
All good.
Perfect.
I think, Dr. Vladimir, we can begin. What do you think?
Definitely, I agree, Dr. Fedon. Please feel free to start.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, dear colleagues. My name is Dr. Fedon Terfanidis, and I'm an associate professor at the marketing department, Australia University. Today, I'm going to deliver a lecture related to understanding measurement, developing questions, and designing the questionnaire. The first important thing that you need to know is that the quality of your data will dictate the quality of your empirical findings. So garbage in, garbage out. This means that if the measurement tool or the measurement process is not adhering to the scientific standards of measurement, then by default it will lead to false results. And that's why we need to pay a lot of attention when we are designing the questionnaire or when we are supervising the measurement process. We need to be very careful to adhere to the scientific standards. Let's begin with the learning objectives for today's lecture. The first objective is to understand the basics of measurement regarding people, places, and things. Then we will discuss about the 4 different types of measures used by researchers. We will discuss about the 4 scales of measurement: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Then we will discuss about the different types of questions that are highly used when we want to perform a quantitative study. Then we will proceed with appreciating the basic functions of the questionnaire. We will learn the do's and don'ts of question wording. And finally, we will discuss about the structure of the questionnaire. Now, I have to tell you that initially this lecture was divided in 2 different sessions, but unfortunately, as per Dr. Vladimir's guidance, we have to deliver only 1 session. Therefore, for sure, I'm going to cover the first 3 learning objectives. Now, the remaining 3 objectives, I didn't want to delete them or remove them because you could use them in the form of a note, as notes for future reference. But I will try to briefly summarize about the organization of the questionnaire and some tips about how you should word certain questions. So let's quickly begin because time is limited. When we talk about measurement, we need first of all to identify what we want to measure and who we are going to ask. So when we are answering the question of who we should ask, this refers to the object. The object could be a person, it could be a product, a brand, a company. Now, you don't ask a brand or a product, but you can observe. So when you are asking a direct question to someone, this means that you are asking directly a person. But let's say my study is about examining the aggressive behavior of dogs. So in that case, the observation method, the object is the dog. The observer is the dog. Taking notes. So the object is what is being observed or who is being asked to give you the information you require to get. Now, we have certain variables or properties, for example, age, gender, preferred brand, or opinion. A very important element when we design the questionnaire is to identify which are the research constructs you would like to use and which items you should try to measure, which are explaining the overall construct. So you need to identify specific variables that you want to measure, and every research objective should relate to specific variables that you need to measure. Now, for every of these selected variables, you need to create specific questions, and this is basically refers to the measurement process. So for age, you could ask, how old are you? For gender, what is your gender, etc. Now, you will see that when we create questions, we have 2 options. Either we give the answers. For example, in the second question, we mentioned what is your gender, male or female, and we provide the answers. So this is referred to a closed-ended question. Or we can leave it open. For example, how old are you? And the consumer can freely write down his age. This is an example of an open-ended question. And after, performing the measurement process, or better, asking the questions to the respondents, then you get the measurement result. The measurement result is reflected in specific values. So we have the object, we have the variable, we have the questions, and every question is measuring only one variable, a common mistake in research is that sometimes we develop questions which measure two things, not one. So, for example, Ms. Masuma, if I ask you, if I ask you, what do you think about the color and the size of this bag? That's two things. So what will you evaluate? The color or the size? And let's say you love the color, but you don't like the size of the bigger, let's say. So what are you going to evaluate? So fundamental thing in measurement, one question is measuring only one variable. This is a very common error that we computer, right? Okay. What? No, not for the computer. Why did they bring us in this room? That room was so after we have the designing of the question, it's important for you to understand the basic terminology in measurement. What is the object of the case? What is the meaning of property or variable? The questions and of course the values. Now we have four different scales of measurement. This is very fundamental in measurement. In other words, four different ways to measure things in life. And remember, everything can be measured. There is nothing that cannot be measured. No, you can. Look, one I gave you. Scale from 1 to 5 or from 1 to 10. One I gave you, 5 I don't. As simple as that. Everything can be measured. 5 would not be enough. 5 would not be enough. 10 or 100. You can increase the scale. It's up to you. You can create what kind of scale you would like to create. So those are the four different ways that we could use in any research study to measure variables of in a specific sample, or maybe we are conducting a census. We are asking all the population members. We will go through one by one now with examples. So the first one is nominal scales. Those basically refer to the collection of qualitative data. When we use the term qualitative data, we mean basically words, not numbers, but those words do not imply any quantification. Because if the word is, I love you a lot, you mentioned about love, a lot, although it's a word, it implies quantification, quantity, not quality. So be careful here, what is being measured should not imply any quantity. It's only quality.
Like characteristic properties.
Exactly. So, for example, indicate your gender. Male, female. Male, female is very clear. It's qualitative data. Or what is your favorite color? Black, white, gray, yellow. What is your favorite car brand? Mazda, Toyota, BMW brands. So all those things relate to words. Of course, when you will be coding, you will be allocating numbers, because in SPSS or Excel or any statistical program, you should input numbers, not words, for data analysis. So you could say male equals to 1, female equals to 2. But this does not mean that 2 men equals to 1 woman, or the man is the first, and then it's the woman. Exactly. No, it doesn't make that. It doesn't look like that. So what kind of statistics we use to analyze nominal variables? Percentages. Percentages is the most common statistic we should use. For example, 4% in my sample are men, 60% in my sample are women. Or 20% prefer black, 30% white, 40 gray, and 10 yellow, something like that. And also we would calculate the mode, but the mode is, what is the mode? Remember from the statistics?
The mode is we have the median, we have the mean, and we have the mean and the median basically define for the average and how far you are. And the mode will be defined for you the level.
And also repeat the value, the highest frequency of occurrence. Okay. So if 60% are men and 4% are women, and 1 refers to male, then 1 is the mode, which means that the majority in my sample are men. All right. So these are the nominal scales. Now we have ordinal scales. And in ordinal scales, the main idea here is that we rank. So we start to talk about quantitative, not quality. And for example, please rank each car brand in terms of your preferences. 1, most preferable, 3, least preferable. And you put 3 brands, Mazda, Toyota, BMW. The consumer needs to rank those brands based on his preference. So if he prefers BMW, he has to put 1 here, then let's say 2 in Mazda and 3 in Toyota. So that would be a ranking question. Ranking questions are considered to be quantitative data. Another example could be, in your opinion, which educational institution has the most qualified academics? Please rank using numbers, 1 for the most qualified and 4 for the least qualified. So the consumers will be starting inputting their preferences. Always in ranking data, 1 goes to the first post, the best, the most preferred. And always the last number goes to the least preferred. And always when you are describing the question, you need to clearly give guidelines about how consumers should rank. So you have to tell them 1 most preferred, 3 least preferred. Now, if you have here 5 items, you have to put here 5. Okay, so you do not make a mistake, because usually you see this kind of mistake. They forget to count all the options and give the number, the number on the guidelines. Now, what kind of data, what kind of statistical technique we should use to analyze this data? Before we say percentages, which is the most appropriate statistic that we could use?
Relationship. Relationship data.
When you say relationship,
Valuation. Relationship correlation.
To have relationships, I'm talking about univariate data analysis. To have a relationship, you have 2 variables. So in terms of descriptive statistics, univariate data analysis. In statistics, we have univariate data analysis, bivariate data analysis, and multivariate data analysis. I'm talking about univariate. Univariate means 1 variable by itself. So when you have 1 variable, you can't have relationship. You just need to describe the answer. The most appropriate statistical descriptive technique when data are ordinal is the median. The median, not the average. Still, you could calculate also percentages. So, for example, you can identify what is the percentage of people who rated first BMW, who rated second BMW, and who rated third BMW. Still, you could do it. But the most appropriate technique here is to use the median. Do you remember what is the median? What is the definition of the median? For example, if I have these numbers here, 4, 2, and 6. 4, 2, and 6. What is the median? 4. Correct. 4 is the median. 4. What do? You put the data on ascending or descending order, and then you pick the middle value. Usually the middle value, always the middle value is divided your sample into 50% on the left and 50% on the right. And so in this scenario here, you need to identify the median per brand, the median per brand. So imagine that BMW could have a median of 1.2. Toyota could have a median of 2.8. And Mazda could have a median of 2.1. So which is the most preferred?
Mazda.
Mazda has a median of 2.1. Toyota is a 2.8.
And
always check here. One refers to most preferable. So always you need to pay attention on how you called it, what guidelines you gave consumers, and what is the result. So which is the most preferred? Which is closer to 1? Which number is that? BMW is closer to 1 with a median of 1.2. So it's ranked as first. Which is ranked as second?
2.1.
2.1, Mazda. Mazda with 2.1. And which is the least preferred? Toyota with a 2.8. So this is the type of analysis that you should be performing. And you perform it in a sense to calculate the median. Okay? The next scale of measurement is called interval. Now, the vast majority of the type of questions used in research are using this scale of measurement. It's very common. It's the most commonly used scale. Why? Because it has some advantages compared to the previous two, which we will explain today what are those advantages. Now, if you pay attention to the verb used here, the verb here is rate. Previously, the verb was rank. Okay, you see, ranking. Ranking is totally different from rate. When you rank, you put on a hierarchical order. When you rate, you allocate points. So, let's suppose that, just to be consistent with our previous example, one consumer settled BMW with a 5, which is extremely favorable. Another consumer selected 4 for Mazda, and another consumer selected number 2 for Toyota. So this means that this consumer allocated specific points, starting from 1 up to 5. Maximum points you can give is 5. And always if you are describing something positive, the highest number should go to the positive characteristic. So here, since we discussed about the evaluating the overall performance, extremely favorable refers to 5, extremely unfavorable refers to 1, because at the end of the day, we will be calculating averages. So we calculate the average score. So the one with the highest score will be the most preferred.
If we switch them to the
yes, you should not switch them, because when you did it,
yeah.
no, always the highest number goes to the highest characteristic. If you did this, no worries, first of all, you can reverse. You can recall.
Yeah.
SPSS has an easy way to recall. So you can say, tell the SPSS, whenever you see 1, make it a 5.
Okay.
Whenever you see a 2, make it a 4. Whenever you see a 3, leave it as it is. Whenever you see a 4, make it a 2. Whenever you see a 5, make it 1. And then you can recalculate. Or, just when you explain, you don't go through this process, you will consider as the best option the one closest to 1.
Yes.
Okay, you don't want to avoid all this kind of.
So we can do that.
Yes, you could do that. But then 1 is the best.
Oh my God, this probably explains why I was shocked with the answers.
You see? This is very important. How you coding, how you input the data into the SPSS. It can ruin everything. That's why always, when we are also presenting the answers, you need to, below the empirical findings on the table, you have to put the scale of measurement and say 5 is the most favorable, 1 least favorable, or unfavorable. So the person who is reading, he can evaluate the numbers.
Absolutely.
So let's now try to check what is the difference of this scale with the previous scale, because this scale gives more information. It's a better scale. Now, in the previous example, we had ranking. Here we have rating. In this example, do I know what is the difference between BMW and Mazda? How much more BMW is preferred to Mazda?
Anyway.
In a specific way.
Yeah.
This consumer said 5 BMW, 4 to Mazda. Therefore, it is preferred for 1 distance.
1 block.
1 block, 1 distance, 1 distance, 1 liter. Do I know the difference between the preference of BMW and Toyota? How many distances? 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and I said Toyota.
Yeah.
BMW and Toyota. 5-2. And how much more is preferred Mazda to Toyota? How many spaces?
That was the one.
Mazda to Toyota. 2. 1, 2.
Yes.
2. So in this case, when I'm using this case, I can compare, exactly, and calculate the differences between the preferences. While in the previous scale, I couldn't. In the previous scale, if you remember, let's go back here. Okay, BMW was first, then was Mazda, and then was Toyota, based on the example we said. But I don't know how much more BMW is preferred from Mazda, and how much more Mazda is preferred from Toyota. In other words, I don't know the difference in the evaluation of the consumer. And this means that I'm losing information. Maybe BMW is losing just a little bit from Mazda, but I don't know that. Or maybe BMW is more preferred a little bit more than Toyota, than Mazda, but maybe it's preferred much more, a lot. So also I don't know the difference between Mazda and Toyota. When I'm putting properties in a hierarchy, I cannot calculate the difference between the preferences. I just know the hierarchy. He's first, he's second, he's third. But I don't know the distance from the first to the second, or from the first event to the third or the second. That's the problem. Now, this is solved with this type of scale. Now, this type of scale is called equal distances. Why? Because, as you can see, we move from 1 to 2 is exactly the same to move from 2 to 3. And to move from 2 to 4 is exactly the same to move from 3 to 5. So we're talking about an equal distances scale. Now, there is one issue which you always need to remember on that scale. You should never come to a scientific conclusion based on the absolute value of the number on the scale. The numbers are irrelevant. The placement, the position is what is important. Why? Because instead of giving you from 1 to 5, I could give you a scale, you said about law. From 1 to 10, or 1 to 100. Yeah. So instead I could give you a scale from 1 to 10. If I give you a scale from 1 to 10, somebody rates 5 in a scale from 1 to 5. What he should rate on a scale from 1 to 10? 10, the maximum. So the number, the value of the number does not count. The position of the number is what counts. So numbers are irrelevant. Or I could give you another one. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right.
It should be 9 for the same answer.
So it should be 9.
So how do they evaluate?
I will tell you how to evaluate, how you analyze. So you analyze this by calculating the best important here. For example, for interval and for the next one, you can do any kind of statistics. Percentages, mode, mean, median, standard deviation, everything, variance, everything. So this is purely quantitative. But let's give an example of how you analyze it. The most preferred statistic here is the mean, the average. Not the median, because we don't have a big range of data. The data are from 1 to 5. Usually we use the median when we might have extreme values or outliers. So in our case, the answers are constrained from 1 to 5. So you will not have an outlier. 5 can be considered as an outlier, but it's a valid response. So the average is the best statistic because you don't have outliers in this kind of scale. So for example, you will calculate the mean. So the mean would be, let's say, for BMW 4.5. The mean for Toyota could be 2, and the mean for Mazda could be, let's say, 4. So I'm asking you, we have BMW mean 4.5, Mazda mean 4, Toyota mean 2. Which is the most preferred brand? BMW 4.5, 4.5 is somewhere here. Do you see? It's very good between favorable and extremely favorable. It's in the middle, 4.5. Then, which is the next preferred? Mazda with an average of 4. 4 is clearly favorable. And then what is the least preferred? Toyota, which is evaluated as unfavorable. Okay, but this information I could get it even from the previous scale of measurement. The ordinal. What is the difference here? What is the difference here? The difference here is that I know how much more preferred is one brand compared to another. For example, BMW is preferred, yes, it's first, but you know the difference between the second and the first. 0.5 points on a scale from 1 to 5.
Yeah, it's very light.
Very light difference. Mazda is losing just by half point. You see? What is the difference with the ordinal? In ordinal, I don't have this information. I have first, second. That's it. So, similarly, I can calculate the difference between the first and the third, and the difference between the second and the third. For example, and this is how you analyze the data, Mazda is preferred 2 distances or 2 points on a scale from 1 to 5 compared to Toyota, because Mazda has an average of 4 and Toyota has an average of 2. So 2 distances on average on 1,000 consumers, let's say, and Mazda is preferred compared to Toyota. So this is the new important thing that is being introduced in this scale. I can calculate not only the hierarchy, but also how much the preferences. Comparison. And now, keep in mind that this kind of scale doesn't have a 0 point. Because we can change. Here the 0 point is 1. In the example I gave you, starting from 5, the 0 point was 5. There is no 0 point. It's arbitrary, it's a convention. We decide, we created the scale. We decided I want to use a scale from 10 to 20, or from 15 to 19, whatever I want. Now, we come to the last type of scale of measurement, which is called ratio. Now, this one has a very big difference from all the previous, and especially from interval. And an example would be, please indicate your age. So here you have to write, let's say I am 23 years old. How many times in the last month you ate pizza? I ate 2 times per month. So the answer is always a clear number, but now the absolute value of the number should be taken into consideration. Previously we said we should not, because we could change the scale based on our will and preference. Here, you cannot change the scale. If somebody is 23 years old, he's 23 years old. He cannot become 40 or younger. And if somebody is eating 2 times per month pizza, you cannot transpose or convert this to a different number. While in all previous scales, you could transpose everything. Even in order to use a 2, 3, 4 instead of 1 to run. Still you could change the absolute value of the number. So the numbers are not valid here. And basically, you use those numbers to come to a scientific conclusion. Why the numbers are valid, the absolute value of the number? Because they are being measured on a specific unit of measure. It is 2 times per month. It is 23 years old. KD per month. Cell phones. So I could ask you, how many cell phones do you have? You have 3 cell phones. So it's 3 cell phones. The unit of measurement is there. While in the previous scale, it's just points. Points. And I'm giving as many points as I want. So in this scale, the true zero exists. Zero means zero.
Yeah.
How many cell phones do you have? Zero. Zero means zero. And we do use the actual value of the number to come to a certain conclusion. Again, here we can calculate any kind of discrete statistics we want. The most preferred, like in the previous scale, is the mean and the standard deviation. The mean and standard deviation.
Here, these are open.
These examples are open, but it could be also be closer.
Is it preferable to make it close, like below 20?
Look, if you start to make it in ranges, for example, you give a certain range for years, for example, from 1 up to 10, 11 up to 20, 21 up to 30, etc. This is not ratio. No, because you group values.
Yeah.
When you are grouping values, you don't have one value. So now the question is what it is. Nominal, we said there is no quantity words.
Yeah.
Here we have quantity. For example, if I am on the range of 40 to 50, you are on the range of 30 to 40. So I'm older than you.
So we call the first one childhood, teenage, adult.
No. You still should use the ranges because what you believe is defined as a teenager, I might have a different opinion how the teenager is defined. So you should give the ranges, and this is recommended.
Okay.
Especially when you are asking ladies, you don't want to ask them directly how old are they. You did a specific, so you could use groups or for income.
Yeah.
Instead of asking how much money you are getting per month. You can give ranges, but once you start to give ranges, you don't have one value, you have many values. So forget about ratio. Now the question is what it is, because everything belongs on a specific scale of measurement.
Sure.
Now I'm going to tell you the following. Check the distances 1 to 10. Then I said 11 to 20. The distances are the same, are equal. When we have equal distances, how the scale is called? Interval. Bravo. Congratulations. It's called the interval. It's called interval. Now imagine if I continue, instead of giving you 21 to 30, I write this 31 to 35. Then I make it 36 to 55. And then I say 55 plus and above.
Yeah.
Is this interval?
No.
No. I ruined the equality of distances.
Yes.
I changed the groups, the group size. So what it is? What it is?
The one before interval.
The one before interval. Congratulations, Mr. Suma. Ordinal. Because you are ranking. You will be able to identify who is older and who is younger, but you will not be able to identify with accurately the difference between them. In interval, if we have equal distances, and I selected from 30 to move every 10 years, and I selected 40 to 50, you selected 30 to 40, and you selected 20 to 30, then I know the difference. If I select, I'm 10 years older than you, and you're 10 years older on average. You see? Why? Because the differences are equal. The distances within the group are equal. When you destroy the equality in the groups, you degrade the scale, make it ordinal. So then we can talk, I'm older, then it's you, then it's you. See how it goes? Questions? Other questions? Let me check. Guys, do we have any question from the audience so far?
No, thank you, Dr. Fiden. Just a request, if you can get closer to the microphone would be great. It's a little interrupting when you're far. Thank you.
Okay, one moment. Yes, Ms. Marcel has a question. Yes, Ms. Marcel?
Dr. Payton,
Ms.
sorry, I
Marcel,
was trying for the thumbs up. I was trying for the thumbs up and by mistake I raised my hand. I'll lower my hand now. Thanks.
Okay, so no questions from the online audience. Look, because I don't want to interrupt, you can always just pop up and tell me, Dr. Faydon, can I ask this? Can you give another example? Okay. Dr. Well, shall I stay here or it's better here, you mean?
It's great here, but I don't want to restrict you. Just a little comment, it was a little breaking. So any closer will be fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, Dr. Faydon, please.
Yes.
Maybe for the younger colleagues, I don't know whether you plan to explain it later, but maybe for the Likert scale, for example, can you explain which type of the scale it represents?
Yes, we will. It's going to be covered. It's one of the topics.
Okay. Sorry.
Now, you see, there are two things. The first thing is the scale of measurement, and the second is the type of question. Likert is a type of question.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so we will discuss between those two, and we will explain.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, you could use also the term scale, Likert scale, but the more appropriate term to differentiate from those four scales is to say type of question, because basically it refers to a certain format and structure of a question. So better to use type of question in order to differentiate from scale, but it's not wrong to say Likert scale.
They apply the same scale 1 to 5, 1 to 7.
Exactly, 1 to 5 or 1 to 7. So basically Likert scale, just to give you a very quick answer, you should tell me, I wanted to ask you, it is what? Likert scale. Which Likert type of question? What scale of measurement? Interval, bravo, interval. So it is interval. We said it, somebody said it. Bravo.
Thank you, Dr. Faydon.
My pleasure. So it's interval. Now, I'm going to...
Bravo is what? An English word, or is it?
Now, I'm going to tell you something very interesting. Bravo is not an English or Latin word that many people believe it is. Bravo comes from the Greek word bravio. Bravio means a reward. A reward. So it's like you deserve a reward. Bravo. Bravio, bravo. Okay. Many people believe it is Latin, but it's not Latin. It's actually Greek. Okay. Now let's try to test your understanding and see. We have an exercise here. We have 3 different days: day A, B, and C. Day 1, day A, we measured at 12 a.m. Ceteris paribus with the same thermometer, everything equal, and we found out that the temperature was 40 Fahrenheit. Day B, same time, same measurement process, everything the same, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And day C, 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The first question is, which day was the warmest? Tell us the warmest. C, right? You agree? Digital audience, do you agree? Most probably they agree. Which day was the coolest?
Yep.
Which is the opposite? You tell me the name of the day. Day A. Day A was the coolest. Anybody disagree? No. Can you rank the 3 days in terms of heat? So which was the hottest, from the hottest to the coolest? So what, can you rank it? Which was the hottest?
C, B, and A.
C, B, and A, correct. C, B, and A. Is the change of temperature from day A to day B the same as the change of temperature from day B to day C? From A to B, 20 degrees Fahrenheit, there is Dr. Yaman, and from B to C, another 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So the answer to question 4 is yes, it is the same, the change, distances. Question number 5, has the heat doubled from day A to day C?
It's temperature or heat? I mean, heat.
Let's hear somebody not say yes, Dr. Well, did it double?
I'm hearing heat, I mean, unless you mean temperature.
I'm talking about temperature or heat.
Yeah,
Same
okay,
thing.
temperature, yeah, the double. I mean, from 40
double.
to 80.
Any other ideas from the audience? Double. Okay. Anybody who disagrees?
The answer is no.
You feel the answer is no.
Yeah.
The answer is indeed no. The
The
answer is indeed no. It did not double. It did not double. But why it did not double? Why we came to this wrong conclusion? Because, first of all, let me prove you why it's not double, and then I will tell you why. In the next slide, there is a formula which is presenting the relationship between the Celsius and the Fahrenheit.
If you notice, I answered you a number without, because I know it's not.
It's not. It's not. So if you replace the 40, 60, and 80 to F, you will get the values for Celsius, 4.4, 15.5 for the second day, and 26.6 for the third day, BC. Yes, 40 to 80 seems to be double, but 4.4 to 26.6, is it double?
No.
No, it's not double. So why all of us made this mistake? Because the scale is not a ratio. We said, if the scale is ratio, then you could use the absolute value of the number to make a scientific conclusion. But if the scale of measurement is not ratio, you cannot use the absolute value of the number. The scale of measurement is what here?
What's Fahrenheit?
Yeah, which was transposed to Celsius. But what scale of measurement is?
Numbers. I mean,
Dr. Yaman, I told you, nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio?
Ordinal.
Not ordinal. If it was ordinal, then you shouldn't have asked me in question 4 that
The distance.
the distance is the same. So basically, it is interval. It is interval. Why it is interval?
because the difference between them is the same.
Fahrenheit. Start from 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, etc.
Same.
To move from 1 to 2 is the same to move from 2 to 3. And the same for Celsius. You start from below the negative degrees of temperature, starting from minus, etc., minus whatever, 20, minus 29, etc. So, but those scales are human creations. We created them. They don't belong in the real numbers of mathematics. Although it is degrees, but we created 2 different scales to measure the temperature. So, like in my example previously, I told you from 1 to 5 or from 1 to 100. I can change the scale, or from 5 to 9. I can change the scale, arbitrary. So, that is why the scale is equal distances. And when the scale is equal distances, you can never use the absolute value of the number. So, we don't use 40, 60, and 80 to make a conclusion. But what we use, the placement of 40, 60, and 80 on a scale. So correctly, we said the change on the temperature is the same from A to B as per the change from B to C. This is correct. Why? Because it's equal distances. You are making a judgment by looking on the equal distances of the scale, which is the same either in Celsius or Fahrenheit. For example, if you see here the movement also for Celsius, if you move from day A, 4.4, up to day B, 15.5.
Yeah.
But how much is the difference? 11.1. 11.1.
And
And if you move from B to C, even in the scale of Celsius, because that is also an interval, it's exactly the same. But you cannot say double. Double means you are using the number. And here there is a proof.
so anytime the interval is not the same, you cannot call it an interval anymore.
If the distances are not equal. Yes, if the distances are not equal, we cannot call it.
Then we call them as nominal.
No, ordinal. The next that will be great is ordinal.
Yeah.
And then
Ordinal means in the different absolute value.
ordinal means ranking condition. Ranking. And ranking does not imply that the equality, there is equality of difference between the ranks. I'm first, you are second, you are third, but maybe I'm far away from all you. Okay? But here I know how much far away I am in interval. What? Yeah, I tricked you. But it was a good example so you can understand the difference between ratio and interval.
Yeah.
In ratio, we use the absolute value. Yeah. And we could say double. For example, I'm 20 years old, you are 40 years old. You are WH, my age.
Yeah.
That is valid.
We can say with confidence. Here, no.
It is valid, it's reality.
The flux that matters.
Exactly. It's the placement on the what point on a specific scale.
Yep.
So we evaluate based on the different placements or positions of the evaluations, not based on the actual absolute value of the number, because that one is arbitrary. It can change at any time. Okay. Any questions from the audience? If you have, you are welcome to ask me. Another example is another exercise to make kind of review. State the scale of measurement used to measure dwelling type. Dwelling type is accommodation type. So, for example, I can say I live in a flat, or I live in a villa, or I live in a castle, I live in a tent, I don't know. So, this is what scale of measurement? Nominal, ordinal, let's see if there is any hand, interval or ratio? Nobody from the audience. I live in a flat. Nominal, ordinal, interval or ratio? Nominal, correct. It's a word.
Yeah.
It's a word, and there is no quantity related to it. So the correct answer is it is nominal. Bravo. Physical audience 1, digital audience 0. Yeah. You are winning. Yeah. We need to engage. Yeah. Ranking brands as per preference. Digital audience?
Ordinal.
Ranking. Ordinal.
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 We have the answer, but we left them to us.
No, you said it also. So it's I heard you. So it's still you are ahead 1 point. Actual number of purchases in a certain time period.
No.
Ratio.
Digital audience. Actual number of purchases in a certain period of time. Nominal, ordinal, interval or ratio?
Ratio.
Congratulations, ratio.
In a period of time. Okay, yes.
Well, I give you the unit of measurement. So yes. How many times you eat pizza? 2 times per month. These 2 cannot be changed to 4 depending on the scale. It's 2 times per month. It belongs in the number of the mathematics, the real number of mathematics. Bravo, correct. They equalize. A rating of coffee brands as per taste. Digital audience.
Interval.
Correct. Draw here. We have draw. Correct. Interval. And the last one, brand last purchased.
Nominal.
Bravo. Dr. Walid, you managed to draw the game. So which is your preferred brand? You might say iPhone, I don't know, Apple, Samsung. Okay. Brand preferred is a word. Very good. Okay. Let's move on to the next important topic, which refers to what Dr. Vladimir told me to talk about, the types of questions commonly used in any kind of research. Here you will see the term marketing research because I'm teaching this in the marketing research class, but it is valid for any kind of social
It helps
research.
design questionnaires.
Exactly. Now, here we see the king of the questions. This is the Likert scale. Then we have the semantic differential, the staffel. We discussed about open-ended and closed-ended in the beginning. And now, multiple choice question, mutually exclusive question. Multiple choice question is when the consumer can select more than one options. So, which are your preferred colors? And you select. I give you a list of 10 colors, so you can select more than one. So 3, 4 colors. So it's multiple choice. The opposite of multiple choice is mutually exclusive. So, for example, either the nature of the question dictates that it's a mutually exclusive question, for example, gender.
Yeah.
You can either be a man or a woman. Mutually exclusive means you must select only one option, and by default, all the remaining options are excluded, are out. Or maybe I still have this list of 10 colors, but because I want, let's say, to force consumers to select only one option, in the guidelines of the question, I tell them, please select your most preferred color for the package of this chocolate. So in that case, you are forcing them to select one out of a list of 10. In that case, that question becomes also mutually exclusive. Once they select one color, all the remaining colors are excluded. Dichotomous, another Greek word, dichotomikos in Greek. Dichotomikos. Dicho comes from dio, which means two. Tomi means to cut. So when you are cutting something in two, dichotomous is when something is cut in two different pieces. So dichotomous means that the answers we give are only two. For example, do you like Dr. Fatal? Yes, no. A question which is giving only two possible answers, yes and no, is a dichotomous question. Yes, true and false in the exams, correct. True and false in the exams is a dichotomous type of question. Now, if you have more than two options, then it is non-dichotomous. Not only two available options. So, for example, what is your favorite color? Non-dichotomous. You can have hundreds of favorite colors. Or what is your age? There are not only two values of age. You can be 1 year old, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes.
You put the choices, then we go back to multiple choice.
If you put the choices, for example, if I ask you how old are you, and I give you only two answers, 33 and 34.
Yeah.
Why? Because my sample, I wanted to be selected only from those specific values, then it's dichotomous. But if I leave it open-ended, it's not dichotomous, because you could be 20 years old, 21, 22, 23.
Yeah, but the open-ended.
If you are one at a time, mutually exclusive. A question could be dichotomous or non-dichotomous and mutually exclusive. For example, a yes-no question is a dichotomous question, two only potential answers, and mutually exclusive. Once you select yes, you cannot select no. Okay?
There's dichotomous, mutually, and closed-ended because I gave you.
Dichotomous, mutually exclusive, and closed-ended. Correct, because you gave the values. Yes, no.
Okay.
Exactly that. This is how you describe a question. You say open-ended, non-dichotomous, and mutually exclusive. For example, age. How old are you? How old are you? Is it dichotomous or non-dichotomous? Non-dichotomous. There are many values, not only two values. It could be 20, 21, 22, many. So non-dichotomous. Is it mutually exclusive or multiple choice?
Mutual.
Mutually exclusive. You can be only one value. I'm 23 years old.
And I don't give options, so it's open.
And I don't give options, exactly, so it's open-ended. Voila. Exactly that. Bravo. And so now we need to discuss Likert semantic differential and staffel. Now let's go directly to the Likert. Here you can see an example of a Likert scale. And indicate the degree to which you agree or disagree with each of the following statements. Originally, the Likert scale, the Likert type of question, is asking the consumer to indicate his level of agreement or disagreement on a specific statement. This is the original definition of the Likert scale. Unfortunately, as we have progressed with the science of measurement, other type of scales which are not clearly and accurately asking you to indicate the level of agreement or disagreement are also considered as Likert. But then, if the researcher is honest, he should use and knowledgeable, he should say Likert type question. The original Likert scale or question is that one. So basically, what you have here, you have different levels of agreement and disagreement. So you need to prepare certain statements. For example, Levi's jeans are good looking. Levi's jeans are reasonable priced. Your next pair of jeans will be Levi's jeans, etc. And based on these statements, you give a certain scale from strongly agree to strongly disagree. I asked in a couple of minutes ago, what is the scale of measurement? And I think Dr. Wali said, what is the scale of measurement? What is it, nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio?
This is interval.
This is interval, correct. This is interval. Why it is interval? Because basically you have to use numbers 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Each of the dots will represent a specific code, a specific number.
Yeah.
Now this number could be from 5 to 1 or from 10 to 6. It's up to you. And that's why it's interval and not ratio, because you could give any kind of number. But those numbers should preserve the equality of distances. So you cannot jump. Okay. So it's an equal distance scale, because to move from this point to this one is exactly to move from this one to this one.
Sure.
And to move from this one to this one is exactly distance to move from this one to this one.
Yes.
Okay. So it is an interval scale of measurement. And to come back to your concern about what number you should use, this is very crucial here, how you code, because unfortunately many studies are using the wrong coding, and then the results are rubbish. It's exactly my second slide. Garbage in, garbage out.
I always like garbage.
No problem. So you can fix it. So what is happening here is the highest number we said always goes to the most positive characteristic. This is the principle. It's the opposite from ranking. Ranking, number one goes to the first. Because I'm first, you are second, you are third. The idea is opposite here. So, strongly agree. If you strongly agree that Levi's jeans are good looking, should be 5 here or 1?
1.
You agree that they are good looking. You are strongly agree that they are good looking.
So 5, okay.
5, the
This
highest.
is the one that I see, you know.
Yeah, that's why. That's why we are here to explain. So when we are evaluating, and this point here is describing the consumer agrees, extremely agrees with a positive statement.
Yeah.
If you agree with something positive, it is something good.
Yeah.
The best. If you extremely agree with that, so 5.
Yes, yes.
Give it 5. If he strongly disagrees with a positive statement, you have to give 1.
Yes, yes.
So you start from 5, and you go from 5, from left to right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. And as Dr. Vladimir asked me to explain, Likert scales are always interval scales. Again, we are going to use what? Averages. So if for the first statement, the average is 4, who can interpret the finding?
40% of the people.
Not percent. The average is 4.
I need to know the total population.
No. Any from the digital audience. For the first statement, the average is 4. Agree. 4 is agree, as per our coding. So he agrees on that statement. That's one of agree.
Yeah.
People who said.
No. So, but even when I say the average, it refers to the total people, the average total people. Because the average, what we are doing, we're adding all these numbers and we divide by the number of the sample. So, if the average for the last one is 2.5.
In between disagree and neutral.
2.5. Correct. It's in between here. Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I said 2.5. 2.5 falls within the range, in the middle of the range from 2 to 3. 2 to 3 is, correctly you said, between neutral and disagree. Do you get it?
Yes, and what if I have a different word than neutral? Does that make difference in my little scale?
100%. If you change the descriptors, you need to use the descriptors. And always, although we use words, be careful, it's not nominal. Why? Because as we said in the beginning, those words imply quantity, quantitative differentiation.
Yeah.
I'm strongly agree, you agree, I'm neutral. So there is quantification on the process.
What if it's somehow agree? Strongly agree, somehow agree, disagree.
There are specific scales that you should use exactly from literature review, which make sure that when you are moving from one descriptor to another, the distances are kept equal.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake and you tell me, strongly agree, then neutral, look. If you skip number 4, the agree,
Yeah.
and you have a scale, strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree, wrong scale.
Yeah.
You
No, I
destroy the
know.
scale.
She's talking about the description of the word.
The neutral
Instead
itself.
of neutral, she put somehow neutral. You can
Somehow.
yeah, somehow.
Okay, somehow agree.
It's not.
No, somehow agree. No, it's not the neutral because I agree. It's wrong. It's wrong somehow.
Yeah, I should do that. I
Unless
should
you
allow-
have, after that, you have somehow disagree.
Yeah.
If you want to use somehow agree, you can use it, but then you have to put somehow disagree and then disagree.
Yeah.
So you balance it. Oh, you have it.
Now you have
This for your master. For your master.
I think I screwed it up.
No,
Oh,
this is very basic.
if I cheat it, nobody knows, right?
True. But this is an example of measurement error.
Yes. I don't know why I did that, but.
This is an example because you destroy the equality of distances in the scale. No problem. Good luck. No problem. Fix it. Go and fix it. Okay. So this is the Likert scale. Let's have a look at another type, equally popular. Well, Likert is number 1. This is number 2. Semantic differential scale. Now I'm going to start with Ms. Masuma, and I'm going to ask. Here we see, first of all, let's describe this scale. We have 2 opposing concepts, ideas, adjectives, whatever, concepts, whatever. High prices, low prices. And I want to ask you, what is the scale of measurement?
So this is like ranking here, right? So we rank.
No.
So, for example, if I believe that this restaurant has very high prices, I have to put it
As
On the left side.
to the left
Left
side.
side.
So, for example, if it's extremely high, I have to select the extreme
Sure.
circle on the left.
Yes.
If it is, I believe it is not expensive, neither cheap, the middle.
Mm.
If it is very low, prices have very low price, extremely low, the last point on the right.
The intervals should be equal.
Exactly. So the distances are equal, you are telling me,
Yes.
because to move from one bubble
Mm.
or dot is the same to move from the second to the third,
And they should be even.
and they are even.
Yeah, it serves like the interval one. But what is it called? Semantic?
Be careful, semantic is the type of question.
Mm.
I want you to understand fully the difference between type of question,
Mhm.
which refers to the format and the structure of something, and scales of measurement, nominal, ordinal, interval ratio, which refers to the nature of measurement. Nature of measurement is one thing,
Type of question.
Scale is something.
the template of the question, format and structure,
Nominal, ordinal,
No, the question is the type of question. Liquor,
and
open-ended, closed-ended, mutually exclusive, dichotomous, multiple choice, semantic differential. All these are type of questions.
yes.
Type of question. You are describing how the format of the question, how the question looks like. But here, when we discuss about scale of measurement, is the most important thing. It goes deeply to the nature of the measurement. Is it a word with no quantity? Nominal. You are ranking? Ordinal. Equal distances? Interval. A real number of the mathematics of the real unit of measurement? Ratio. I ate 2 Greek souvlaki yesterday. Greek souvlaki is the unit of measurement. Okay, it's the unit of measurement.
Yeah.
So, so basically we have numbers here. We will have to replace those circles, small circles, with numbers.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask you, Ms. Masoma, what number we're going to use?
So because it's similar to the interval one, the numbers wouldn't mean much as it's important that they are similar distance.
So on a row,
Yes,
on a row,
Yeah.
on a continuation.
absolutely.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points.
Yeah.
7 circles.
So put 7
So-
close to the left.
Scroll to the left.
Yeah.
So you tell me you want me to put the highest number to the positive or to the negative characteristic? Is it good for a restaurant to be evaluated with high prices?
No.
No. So what you should put here? 7 or a different number?
So the opposite.
The opposite.
Yeah.
You see, you go.
Yes, yes.
So what is the opposite of 7?
So what we
One. So we start from the left. We say 1 is here, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 will go where? To the best descriptor, the most preferred, the positive descriptor. It's good for a restaurant to be evaluated with low price. Okay, so true. We take the common sense. Common sense and the typical consumer, not extremes. Always, because you can't accommodate every single condition. For example, you might have a criterion that might be a little bit debatable. In that case, special place presentation,
The location.
maybe no, everybody will not have a good location. Maybe warm atmosphere, cold out. Maybe somebody doesn't like a warm atmosphere. But in that case, you just need to define the codes and then know that we put the highest to the code or to the font.
Can you have it mixed distribution?
Yes, you could say it's based on the criteria. As a matter of fact, the most appropriate thing, for example, here, in convenient location, what should go here next to inconvenient? 1. So you see, here is again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But
For me,
fast service here, this bullet should be what?
fast service.
Yeah, it's good to have a fast service or not?
Yes.
We'll put 1 there.
This should be one.
If it is good one,
No, it's good. 7.
7.
7. So 7,
For me,
6,
also would be the
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you see, here we have different layers.
I would just put in mind that how we distribute the numbers.
Now, when you design a questionnaire, there is no need to put the numbers. You can put circles, but when you introduce the data, when you do the data into the CSS, then you need to know that if you selected this tick here, which is very close on the left, because this tick refers to fast service, 7 should be included in the cell.
Yeah,
as a
that's
cell.
how
That's what
the
happened.
positive one.
And this is the big problem. Because at the end, because if you start to mixing up the positive with the negative, with different codes, then all the results are discovered.
I need to go back and do that again.
Yeah, good. So this is an example of another semantic another interval scale. Another example, Staple scale. In Staple scale, what we use is we use only one concept in the middle. So we don't use time to think of opposing concepts, high prices, low prices. We use only one concept. And we put it in the middle. And then we use positive and negative numbers to positively or negatively evaluate the existence of this concept. So for example, For example, if the consumer believes that the cabin crew is extremely friendly, he should circle +5. Because +5 is the highest indicator, the highest evaluation of friendly cabin crew. If the consumer believes that the cabin crew is extremely unfriendly, -5.
Yeah.
So you use numbers to evaluate positively or negatively the concept in the middle. This is the idea here. And now, we can introduce also another thing here. You see, here do I have a neutral point?
No.
No, I'm forcing either to marginally give a small positive evaluation, +1, or a small negative evaluation, -5. I could easily introduce 0 here in the middle. Or he could also circle the 0.
So we add neutral.
But I have a neutral opinion.
If you want to give this option to make it neutral. Now, in reality, this is what scale of measurement, nominal, ordinal, interval ratio.
Distances are equal.
Equal distances. To move from +5 to +4 is 1. The same to move from 4 to 3 and 4 to 2. 3 to 1. Interval. So basically, minus, we're going to allocate a scale because we're not going to put negative numbers in SPSS. How we are going to code it? -5 will get 1. -4, 2. -3, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh, okay.
You see? So if he selected -5, you don't need to negative values in the Excel or SPSS or whatever you use. You put 1. Why I give it as 1? Because 1, the characteristic in the middle is friendly.
Yeah.
So if he evaluates with -5, you have to give him the lowest value. What is the lowest value? 1.
But what will you do when you have the 0?
When you have a 0, 6 will be here. 6. This will become 6.
6
0 will become 6.
Starts from the lowest value as 1.
Exactly. And you count upwards.
And 6 would be the neutral.
Exactly. With the neutral in the scale.
And the
Correct.
Stable form.
This is called stable. Okay? Stable. Comfortable interiors are exactly the same philosophy.
Yeah.
But sometimes it might be a little bit misleading. For example, you could have, let's say, expensive in the middle. And then you give +1, +2, +3. You can give as many as you want.
Yeah.
-1, -2, -3. Or if I think it's very cheap, what I have to share here. You see, it can be a little confusing.
So it will be least expensive, but it's not cheap.
So if they give me this scale, they ask me to evaluate. What is the, and I believe it's extremely cheap. What number I should give here? No, you have one. You can answer. You still can answer.
-3.
-3, correct. -3. Because -3, it means that this characteristic is on the negative dimension, which means it's cheap.
Yes.
But you see, it creates some confusion.
Yes, yes.
So, in order to avoid this confusion, which will lead to measurement error, people will not be able to.
That's why we remove surveys. When we have questions not answer.
Yeah. In order to avoid confusion, in the guidelines of the question, you can say, if you believe this product is extremely cheap, please select -3. If you believe it is extremely expensive, circle +3. Okay. So you can give always guidelines how they should complete the answer.
But what other word can we use in terms of expensive? We have to put expensive.
You could put cheap and then start
After going on.
+1, +2, +3, which means +3 is considered to be extremely cheap. And -1, -2, -3, extremely expensive. You need to play around with this. Any questions from the audience, the digital audience? Last 15 minutes. Now we have to speed up.
We're good. Thank you.
Okay, no questions. Thank you, Ms. Marcel. Interval skills used in marketing research. Now, another thing we could discuss is if the skill is going to be symmetric or not symmetric. Symmetry refers to another word, symmetry actually, means if the question is balanced or not. A balanced question is a question which has equal points on the negative and on the positive dimension. So this one, no. Also here, for example, one, look, if, I will tell you, very good question. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I have only 4 points, so it's an even number.
Yeah.
Can I have a neutral point?
Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Do I have a neutral evaluation? So for example, I say here cheap, and here expensive. So if I want, I believe it's not neither cheap nor expensive. Can I evaluate? No. I have to, they force me, because they give me an even number of points on the scale, either select 2 or select 3.
Yes.
If I select 2, I marginally believe it's cheap. If I select 3, I marginally believe it's expensive. So if you have an an even number of points, there is no neutral point.
Yes.
But if you have, exactly, here, 1, 2, 3, yes. So this is the neutral point.
That's the question I want to ask you. Why?
Yeah.
You have to put this 7 because otherwise we cannot have
Neutral.
a neutral.
Exactly. So one thing is to have neutral scales, a neutral point of the scale, but it depends on the researcher because if sometimes you are getting a neutral answer all the time.
Everybody selects.
Says it from 1.5, but it's 3. Then what you are going to do?
Yeah,
By the way.
it's not recommended. Is it?
It depends on the question, on your research objectives, on how you perceive the opinions of the consumers might be, and if you want to force them to make a decision, use odd, use even number of points, which eliminate the neutral point. It's perfectly acceptable in literature review. You could have it.
And many people tend to put in many questions.
Exactly, because you get threes, what they are going to have. What they are going to change. You need to have variability now in your data, especially when you want to use by very mixed or multivariate techniques. You need to have variance in the variables so you can find different relationships among variables. Now, but balance here. This is an example of why we shouldn't use a balanced question. For example, check this rude and unethical statement. Cheating is a very bad habit. Cheating is a positive, a good statement. So it's very ethical. Cheating is a very bad habit. But it would be a little bit rude and unethical to ask consumers to disagree with this statement. Because if you disagree with this statement, you will cheat. Means you are an unethical promoting. Exactly, you are an unethical human being. So that's why we want to give the different points of the scale on the agreement side.
It's possible.
Yes, it's possible. Why? Because it's a sensitive issue, an ethical issue, an issue that look, those who would like to cheat still will answer one. They have their opinion. It's a covert way to try to extract sensitive information, potential unethical behavior, illegal behavior, whatever, in a very good scientific way. Because those guys who kind of disagree, even strongly disagree, will go to 1 and 2. You see? But at least you are being ethical when you are presenting the survey, and still you can get your good evaluation. Now, as you can see here, 1 will be neither agree or disagree, 2 somewhat agree, etc. So interval scale of measurement, but not symmetric. This is a non-symmetric. You don't have equal points for the agreement and with the disagreement. It is directed on the positive area of the agreement, So it's not symmetric. Not like the stuff I showed you previously. So this one is a symmetric scale. This one is a symmetric scale. Symmetric scale. You see? But that one here is not a symmetric scale, depending on the topic. We call this Likert scale. Now, yes, this is a Likert scale because it fulfills the criterion of having the consumers to indicate their level of agreement or disagreement on a specific statement. clearly you have a statement here. Cheating is a very bad habit, and then clearly you have some different evaluations about that statement, agreement, levels of agreement. Reliability, very quickly, and because so far I covered what I wanted to cover. Now, reliability and validity are two very important concepts when you design a questionnaire. Extremely important, and unfortunately, consumers, marketeers, the researchers do not know the exact difference between them. Now, validity refers to the accuracy of the measurement. So imagine that I want to measure my height, and instead of using the tape measure, I'm stepping on a scale. A scale is measuring what? Your weight, not your height. So the measurement is invalid. I'm using the wrong tool to measure, or the wrong scale to measure, because scales are used to measure weight, not height. So this is an invalid measurement based on my research objective, the type of information I want to collect. I'm using the wrong measurement process and the wrong measurement tool. So this is something valid. Now, reliability refers to the response in the same or a similar manner to an identical or nearly identical measure. So reliability refers to the consistency of the answer. So if I ask you today, Ms. Masuma, how old are you? And you tell me 23. If I ask you after 3 days, how old are you? And you tell me 23, then you are reliable in your answer. Why? Because you gave me the same answer. So there is consistency. Internal consistency refers to reliability. Now, if in reality you are not 23 and you are 28, although you were reliable, giving the same answer, you are not valid. You lied. You are 27 or 28, not 23. So you were invalid because you gave me the wrong answer. So it has to do with if the answer is correct or wrong. Validity. But consistency has to do with this answer is being repeated using the same measurement process and the same measurement tool in different time periods. For example, the questionnaire 1, 2, 3 we do is when we want to check the reliability of the consumer, if he's telling us the truth or not, we can ask a question in one way in the beginning of the questionnaire, and then we can repeat the same questions in a similar way, similar wording, to check the reliability. For example, do you love animals from 1 to 5? And then, have you ever tortured an animal? Those two could be used to check reliability, if he's telling us the truth or not. Because sometimes consumers, yes, they do not read, and they can just start selecting. But we have techniques and tools to identify if they are telling the truth or not, like cross-check, double-check. So, another example would be you have, let's say, a friend, and this friend is always telling lies to you. So if your friend is telling lies to you, always, is he reliable?
In telling lies, yes.
Exactly that. In telling lies, he's very reliable. He's reliable, right? He's consistent in lying, but is he valid? No, because he's not telling the truth. So he's invalid, but reliable. You see? Now, another example here, very quickly, we have three pistols. Okay, go ahead, tell us. The question is
valid and reliable.
A, valid and reliable.
Yeah, second, reliable and invalid.
Correct.
And the third is
non-reliable and non-valid.
What's the third one? Number 6.
It's all, no, I think it's valid and reliable.
Valid and reliable.
Well, we have only 2 outliers outside the circle of,
So far, Dr. Galman, you said A and B correct.
Yeah.
C is not correct.
Yeah.
Anybody from the audience? C is, what is C? You didn't let me even ask the question. The question is, we have three different guns, and we have the same targets, and the same shooter is shooting from the same distance. And gun A achieves this, gun B achieves this, and gun C achieves this. The question is how you can evaluate in terms of reliability and validity the gun.
Yeah.
Correctly, you said gun A is valid and reliable because all the bullets reach the center and all the bullets. In the center is valid. It's valid. Why? The pistol is made to reach the target, the center of the target. So it's a valid gun. And all bullets, all of them went inside the center. So reliability, consistency in the answer. This one, B, none of the bullets reach the center of the target. So invalid gun.
Yeah.
But the gun is not to throw it away.
Yeah.
It is measuring. The question is measuring something.
Yeah.
But it's not measuring exactly what you want to measure. But it is measuring something. It is reliable, but not valid. Number C, gun C from the digital audience.
If the total survey is 5, then I would say here there is some kind of reliability and some kind of validity.
Where do you see reliability? Do you see any consistency on the shooting?
Yeah.
Any grouping?
In terms of
They are going everywhere.
Yeah.
They are going everywhere.
Yeah, but
So it's not
The gun,
yeah.
the question gives one not reliable and not valid. Not reliable and not valid.
Because it has to be
Because none of them reach the target, the center,
Yes.
Yeah.
and all of them are going
Different ways.
in different places. Okay, and another thing we should discuss before we finish is the process of developing the questionnaire for a publication. I left the best part at the end of my lecture. You can read the remaining slides, but I will focus only on this and then
put them on the same file.
yes, we will definitely. So everything when you want to begin a public publication is you need to create a certain theoretical framework. This theoretical framework will depict all the constructs that you want to examine in your study. Now, all those constructs are called constructs because we use several items in order to measure those constructs. Later on, we see that those constructs we can call them latent variables, and the items which are measuring those constructs are called observed variables. Now, when you identify those constructs, then you are using a multivariate data analysis technique. Remember how we discussed with the relationships.
Yes.
Here, you need to identify the relationships, which is, for example, the independent variable, which is the dependent variable. And you can create or hypothesize about, you can develop hypotheses and you can hypothesize about the relationships among all those constructs that we plotted in your theoretical framework.
Yeah.
Every theoretical framework should begin based on very good literature. In the literature review, you don't only identify concepts, but identify also scales of measurements and items. How I'm going to measure something.
A conceptual framework that we have used.
And also conceptual frameworks that you might want to retest or adapt or develop, whatever. So in reality, people believe that literature review is only to identify concepts and theories and models. No, also items, scales that other researchers use to measure those constructs.
Yes.
So the best way to proceed is to use well-established popular constructs that other researchers used in the past, and do not adapt, do not change a single word of them. Once you change a single word, then the reliability is going down and the value of the item. Now, when I'm saying do not change a single word, I don't mean not to change, for example, the brand name that is being evaluated. For example, if the item says, I love Coca-Cola, yes, you can replace Coca-Cola with Pepsi. If your study is about Pepsi, I love Pepsi. You didn't change anything. But if you, instead of saying, I love Pepsi, you say, I like Pepsi, you change the whole idea, the whole item. Which that, I don't say now, you can develop your own item, but then you have to test for internal consistency of all those items and how they add to the contract. And with Professor Alper, he will discuss about how you can calculate using SPSS internal consistency.
What if in your literature you found split approaches, like 5-6 studies on the same topic, are using, for example, TQM, and then another
criteria number one, quality of example, how difficult is
yes, the
to
journal,
publish, of course.
and
No,
all of them are of publications, quality journals.
If all of them are published in reliable and good journals, we can use any of those items. But if you take items from papers which are published in conferences, in conferences that nobody knows them, or journals which are very, of low quality, then you are destroying your survey.
Yes.
So always take items from reputable journals. Then, once you do that, you identify your constructs, and you decide upon the properties, the items, the specific items that you should measure. And all those items are trying to explain that construct. Of course, you decide upon the scale of measurement. In most of the cases, you will use interval scales. For example, Likert or semantic differential, staple, that kind of scales. And be careful about the wording of the question, because one single word can change the whole meaning of the question. After you create the first draft, what you have to do is you have to test it, you have to do a pilot study, test it. Once you get, let's say, 30 answers should be enough. Once you get 30, 40 answers, you can run those Chromback alpha tests to identify for reliability if those scales you are using are good scales. We have certain criteria about how to choose these things, and because I've already exceeded the time, I don't want to elaborate more on that. Yeah, unfortunately, that was designed to be 2 lectures, so I squeezed 2 lectures into one. So once you pre-tested and everything is fine, then you can go ahead with mass data collection, your data. And of course, you have different techniques and tools about how to collect data. Here in my slides, you can see the do's and the don'ts in terms of question wording, and also in terms of organization, the structure of the questionnaire. The most important thing you need to remember is that the questionnaire is like reading a book. You need to have very good structures. So it's like you need to segment based on the context. So for example, all the product questions ask in the section 1, pricing questions, section 2, promotion questions, section 3. Not start with product, then go to price, then again product. It's like you need to have like you're writing a book. Start always with easy questions, and sensitive and demographic questions always go middle and toward the end. Demographic always goes at the end. And then we have different types of questions related to structure. We can go ahead and read all those things. So in summary, we discussed about the 4 different scales of measurement. We discussed about the 3 different types of questions: plus, open-ended, closed-ended, mutually exclusive, multiple choice, dichotomous, non-dichotomous. We discussed about symmetry. We discussed about reliability and validity, and also we said some things at the end about the whole process. How you should develop a questionnaire. Sorry for 4 minutes. I exceeded the time for 4 minutes. My apologies. Any questions from our friends in MS Teams? We cannot hear you. Dr. Vladimir, all good?
If there are no questions, I would like to thank you, first of all, Dr. Faden. Then I would like to, it was a great training. I would like to ask you to send me your PPT so I can distribute it to the other colleagues. And definitely, I would say there is a need for designing a questionnaire 2.0 for our next cycle next year. So when the time comes, we will hopefully prepare it and have the extension, because definitely there are a lot of things I know that you can say about this topic. So thank you so much. And apologies for cutting your slots for this training. Simply, it was a necessary thing to do considering our schedule, nothing else.
Thank you very much for attending. And if there is no question, we can terminate. Thank you, my good friends here, for attending physically. Without you, I couldn't do it. Good, good, good. I hope it was helpful. And,
It's very helpful.
Well,
If there's session 2, I'm here, I mean, before you come.
well, now we will enter with the next lecture I'm going to deliver is about the SPSS, how we can enter this data from SPSS after we collected the data, how we move this data into the SPSS. So we look again on those
The
topics,
questions,
the questions, the positive and negative,
Yeah.
the highest scores. We will look at them again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Really
Okay, guys.
appreciate it.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Faden. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye. My pleasure. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.